Every September, I'm on the lookout for this magazine. It usually consists of a lot of Christmas projects, but it also does include a few Halloween things to make as well. This issue is from 2019, and I used it last year to make this Halloween banner. Along with the instructions, there's a pattern insert as well. It's easy just to trace the pattern onto another piece of paper. So I made these 5 pieces last year. I wanted to make a little bit longer of a banner, so I decided to add a few more designs. I sketched out small pictures of a raven, a toad, and a spider, and I used those as my pattern pieces. Then I got into my Halloween fabric and I chose some nice background fabrics. Then I cut 3 strips to the length I needed. I folded them in half with the right sides together. Then I folded them in half lengthwise. So the fold is at the top and you cut the other side. You cut down or up to make the point or a wedge. You start about an inch away from the fold at the top and you sew all the way around and you end up an inch away from the fold. That's to allow the string to fit through the top of it. Next thing is just to turn it inside out. Then I press them with an iron just to flatten them out. Here are the different pieces of wool I'm going to use for each flag. And I traced the pattern for them onto a piece of paper. I roughly cut out each pattern from the piece of paper and then I pinned it to the wool, and I just cut on the line once it was pinned to the wool. I cut out the drawing that I had made of the raven and I pinned it to the wool, and I cut around it. I just didn't get footage of that. And I'll embroider its legs and feet later. And for the spider, it's just basically 2 circles. So I ended up just cutting that out without a pattern. Then I cut along the lines of my drawing to cut out the toad. It's really helpful to have nice sharp scissors. I try to only use these scissors for cutting fabric so they stay sharp. I got the basic shape from the pattern, and then I just finished up some of the details by hand. Here I'm using a little pieces of fusible interfacing. I think it's made by Pellon. It's basically a sheet of glue that dissolves when you heat it with an iron. It helps to tack down the little pieces of fabric so they don't shift around while you're trying to sew around them. I used a black bead for the eye of the raven. Then I just used a whip stitch to attach the raven to the backing fabric. And then I just embroidered some the legs and the feet on. And again, I just whip stitched around the body of the spider, and then I used 2 red beads for the eyes. And then I just embroidered the 8 legs onto the spider. For the toad, for the eye, I used a little piece of white wool and used black thread to make an eye. I used green thread and I whip stitched around the body of the toad and also embroidered a little mouth too to give it a smile. I used that fusible interfacing again to attach the designs to the flags. And here's a close-up view of all the finished flags I made for the Halloween Pennant banner. I used this cord with Halloween colors. I thought that would be a nice touch. And then I alternated black and orange pom-poms between each flag. I used a yarn needle to help me thread the cord through the top of each flag. At each end of the cord, I tied on a small clothespin so I could hang up the banner more easily. I'm glad I made a few extra designs. I think the banner needed to be filled out just a little bit. Then I hung up the completed banner on my fireplace mantel. At this time of year, it's really fun to go out shopping and look for Halloween decorations. It's also fun to create some decorations yourself. I made that fabric mantle cover with the fringe. And my mom painted these stacking dolls. They turned out great. She painted an owl, a mummy, a bat, Frankenstein, and Dracula, and they all stacked together. I made these little ghosts out of cheesecloth and starch. And this Halloween mouse was also another project out of the Holiday Crafts magazine. I tend to collect Halloween decorations that have more of a fun, whimsical, maybe slightly spooky style, instead of things that are scary and weird. I just like things that are kind of funny and charming, and I love the Halloween colors. Oh, and I also made these candy corns and pumpkins out of polymer clay. It's hard to see right now, but I did put a string of purple LED lights on the mantel, and so here's what it looks like when the room's a little bit darker. I really enjoyed creating this banner. It adds a cute, whimsical touch to the Halloween season. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.